Claire Denis has been around for quite some time now, but I've only seen one of her movies, Let the Sun Shine In, from like a year or two ago, which I did like. It took an interesting approach to the subject matter and it did something that felt different. So going into this, my impression of her as a filmmaker was very positive. Now add in Robert Pattinson, who in recent years has become one of my favorite actors, then sprinkle in some sci-fi and space elements into the mix, and you get a movie I'm excited to watch. Really excited actually. So the story is about this man who's apparently stuck on this space station with his infant daughter. But why they're there, how they got there and why they're alone isn't clear. That's the basic setup for the first part of the movie. We basically just get to know the characters and what their daily life looks like. That's like a 20-30 minute segment, something like that. Then we get to the flashback sequence where basically everything is explained. Why, how, when, what, it explains pretty much everything, and that segment lasts about an hour. That's essentially the real narrative portion of the movie. The part that feels most like a traditional movie with an actual plot. But then, when we're caught up with the story of how they got there, it goes back to the father and the daughter for the last 20-30 minutes. And I honestly don't know how I feel about this movie. I'm sort of on the fence about it. I didn't really like it, but at the same time, there is something I still kinda liked about it. But I'm not really sure why I liked it or what I didn't like about it. But the structure, the way it's put together and how the story is told, it's probably at the center of the issue. Because that middle chunk feels like a completely different movie than the beginning and the end. Tonally, and there's just so much more going on too. So many more characters and so many different little stories within that chunk. That it's actually pretty jarring compared to the parts with the father and the daughter. Because those parts are a lot more subtle and toned down, with not a lot happening. And I like things about both parts, but I didn't really think they fit together that seamlessly. I mean, there are some pretty hard sci-fi concepts in this, and I did love the black hole sequence, that was pretty cool. But the movie doesn't really dig into that stuff very much. That stuff is almost just background noise. Because it really focuses mostly on the human side of things, on emotions and primal urges, and there's a heavy emphasis on sex in this too. And it feels like it forgets it's a sci-fi movie set in space, which granted could be a good thing. But then you also have this ambiguity when it comes to the overall story. What's the point of it? What's it really trying to say? It's not very clear and left up for interpretation. And the messages between the two parts feel kinda contradictory too. So yeah, I'm not really sure what to make of it or if I even liked it. And honestly, I wish the entire movie had just been about the father and the daughter. Those parts were compelling to me, mainly because of Robert Pattinson. He's really good in this and did a lot with not very much at all. And his relationship and his love for his daughter is 100% believable, which it really has to be to work. And yeah, I wish they focused on the strengths and maybe even cut out the backstory entirely. I don't think it's really needed. It explains a lot, but it didn't feel very satisfying or necessary. But I also think this might be one of those movies I'd really have to watch twice, to give a complete and balanced opinion on it. Because it did leave me a bit too much on the fence. I couldn't really make up my mind about it. And that happens sometimes. And the second viewing usually sways me one way or another. Either I get it and like it a lot more, or I just realize I never really liked it to begin with. But I didn't feel like watching it again right now, so this is what you get. My first viewing thoughts and opinions, and they're all over the place. Which does say something about the movie. What? I'm not exactly sure. But I don't think it's good. So would I recommend it? I guess maybe it's definitely something a little bit different. So maybe give it a look, maybe don't. I'm not your dad. But I am trying to sell out, so consider liking, subbing, hitting that bell and supporting me on Patreon. Because I really need to get myself an intergalactic spaceship. And hey, why not drop a comment below or check out another review? I'd appreciate it. Thanks.